Join us for a driving review of the new Audi S3. Let's go! Here in the front, this new A3 generation for all models gets a bigger front grille. The basic dimensions have not changed. Then especially the S model here, the S3, gets this darker front grille. And here in the S3, big design graphic here on the side. And this is indeed a real air intake, not only a fake one. Headlamp, new design in the new generation. Comes standard with LED, optional the matrix LED with an elaborated high beam function. The length of the Audi S3 Sportback is 4.34 m, 14'2" or 171 inches. Wheels come from 18-inch for the S3 and optional these 19-inch. You either have a fixed suspension, minus 15 mm to the base version, or then the optional adaptive suspension, also minus 50 mm. But here in this case for the S3, you can also combine it to the 19-inch wheels. So with the A3, adaptive suspension is 18-inch wheels maximum. Here they can also combine it with the 19-inch wheels. In the rear we can see a typical hatch shape, but then this new generation more horizontally drawn tail lamps with a modern signature on the inside. Black Audi rings, again because of this additional dark package. And in the lower part here, first of all, a honeycomb structure right here, then a big diffuser, and these are real exhaust pipes. And here we have the sedan, 4.50 m, 14'8" or 177 inches. That means it's 15 centimeters or 6 inches longer than the hatchback. Same wheelbase, of course, it's just a different overhang in the rear. So what do we have here? The S3 gets a 2-liter TFSI with 310 horsepower, turbo petrol engine, 2-liter 4-cylinder, 400 Newton meters of torque. 4.8 seconds is the acceleration figure to 100 kilometers or 62 miles an hour. And here also then all-wheel drive, so front plus rear on demand with a clutch system. So we'll see how that one plays out in the driving part. And you can see here some red accentuations where the cylinders are underneath. So the seat form of these seats here is already quite nice. So they look sporty, but still deliver you a good comfort. 1.86 or 6'1", and we still have enough headroom left. The screen setup would be like this. Left side 10.25 inch as standard, and then optionally these 12.3 inch, so bigger virtual instrument as an option. I think they could have made it standard in the S3 for that price. And on the right side, always this size 10.1 inch. You can have, for example, the map in there like this, or you can also have the map all over the screen. This is of course the best thing about the virtual instruments right here. GPS, you can have this satellite view. It's also a test track for today, but you can also deactivate it and have a more simple view of the map. The CPU is actually quite responsive overall. So let's get inside, see what the result is. You do have more room than in the predecessor generation. Here, this is recessed here at the back of the seat, so we still have some legroom left and especially more headroom than in the predecessor. So this works very well, again with 1.86 or 6'1", and it would also be no problem in the sedan. Now to the trunk, S3 Sportback, here we go. 325 liters of capacity, that means a loss of 55 liters here for the S3 model because of the all-wheel drive parts. Then you lose a little bit of height right here from that cover. In the front, the Sportback, so the hatch and the sedan, the limousine right here, They're just the same. You can, again, just pick different colors. A difference would then be for the rear, because it's a little bit different as for the headroom. It has more headroom than the predecessor generation. And, considering with the hatch, it's not a big difference. Of course, you have a slightly falling roofline, but you'll also easily fit in there as a tall adult. Now the trunk of the S3 sedan. So the main difference is you have more length than in the hatchback. So that's the advantage. The disadvantage would be you cannot load things in and out as easily, because in the hatchback you would have an open area here. Interesting thing here is that especially the S3 Sportback does lose a lot of luggage capacity. First of all, also because of the orbit drive and the parts you need for that, you lose in height, and also the normal car battery has moved from the front to the rear underneath the trunk for weight balancing reasons, and that's why it's also 325 liters here of boot capacity, the same as for the hatchback. Whereas normal A3 hatch to A3 sedan, there would be a difference of 45 liters for the sedan. So usually sedan trunk more capacity. Here in these sport models, it's the same. Let's go. That's 160 kilometers an hour. Really nice acceleration due to this all-wheel drive, also punch from the rear, but very smooth and even out. And here now in the dynamic mode, we have the rear the overall suspension stiffer. So when I'm doing a lane change here, for example, really good feedback. We can also drive in this small chicane, for example. So look at the steering wheel here, very precise movements. I hardly have to grab around, so very direct. This progressive steering, which is standard then for the S3, really cool. Wow, such a great steering feeling. So here, there's like every single degree command is being transported to the road. And when we accelerate out of the corner here now, like this, so smooth indeed. So it's it's a very good acceleration, but it's not that you would say you can't control it or so, so a very, very balanced and controllable vehicle. And I feel that it's even more precise here in this new generation. So yes, it's a 2-liter 4-cylinder, so it's not that you have a super roaring sound, but the sound actuator is giving us something here. Also good as for the noise insulation, as for the wind noises. But here, again, how stable the car remains. Here in this dynamic mode, the suspension is a little bit stiffer, so there's also less body roll and so on. Nice. And just here, I can go all the way over the track, and so easy. Using a shifting pedal, it's also a lot of fun. Just shift down yourself, like this here, and then you can hammer the throttle even better, or shift up again, especially in here in a corner, or that you're, for example, in a lower gear at the outside of the corner. Here, for example, now back to second gear, so I'm more on the RPMs. There we go. Bang, bang. Really nice. So the cool thing about this car is it feels really sporty. You can have a lot of fun, but at the same time, it remains so comfortable. So here, hardly any shaking up, but even if there's some bumps in the road or something, you hardly feel them. So this adaptive suspension is such a pleasure. And when you would compare it, for example, here, drive select and go, for example, to the comfort mode, then it's a little bit softer. The steering is also softer, so you have less resistance in the steering. But still, the car already feels sporty. It's now then in the D-shifting mode. That means the RPMs are not turned up that high, but at the same time, if you use the shifting pedals, for example, you can just shift down these gears again, and you also have a good punch out of the corner. Not so much sound feedback then, but here, even in the comfort mode, this car drives sporty. And once again, it's not that it's like super stiff all the way straight, but you see there's no annoying leaning to the outside then. But of course, we have more feedback in the dynamic mode. So in this new generation, what they have also done is widen this span they have between comfort and sportiness even further. So yeah, what a flawless driving feeling. As for understeer and so on, yeah, I mean the all-wheel drive takes that away a little bit, so then it's less of a problem definitely. So the more I hammer the throttle, the more torque is being also transported to the rear wheels. And so you see, when I really try to force the issue now, like really like this. Here, look at how calm the steering remains. So understeering here, just perceived, actually not a problem at all. So I think that's also something they definitely accomplished here. And once again, so silky smooth in the corners. It's, to me, one of the, best balanced sporty vehicles. And now to our conclusion for today with the new Audi S3. Here today, focus on the Sportback, but as we've shown you, also available as a sedan. Well, exterior-wise, you have sporty accentuations, especially if you go for this dark or black package, but you can also have it a little bit more elegant when you have these contrasts then in the silver way. I would probably leave them with the silver way, but it's of course up to you. There are also very nice Thomas blue colors available for this vehicle, as we've for example shown you with the A3 sedan in the normal review. So you should also check out these reviews then later on if you're not only interested in the S version. But definitely still a good choice of sportiness and elegance at the same time from the exterior. The interior is also very cleanly designed. A lot of touch functions, yes, but the menu structure is very simple and easy, and the CPU is also good, so I think it's a good solution. And you still have a manual climate unit here. So that's also the best between the four siblings, VW Golf, Skoda Octavia and the Seat Leon. A very well to use interior, straightforward, I think. Yeah, these prominent air vents, I think they're a matter of preference. I got used to them meanwhile now. Very good that in this new A3 generation, and the same counts also for the S3, you get a lot of good choices for animal-free seats that are even more full-cycle sustainable using recycled materials. At the same time, they offer you great seating comfort and also are breathable. So that's how you do it nowadays. Really nice. More space also in this generation here. Also, if you can compare it to the predecessor, due to the all-wheel drive system, the sedan will especially lose in trunk capacity if you compare it to the normal A3 model. That's a disadvantage. Other than that, of course, the main difference sedan to the hatchback is sedan longer trunk, not that well to access. Hatchback shorter trunk, but easier to access. Yeah, but still, also as an S3 version, very well usable. And overall, I think it is one of the best compact segment cars here on the market at the moment. Here in the S version and the sporty version, of course, even more performant, have more horsepower, double the horsepower tune we had last time with the 1.5 TSI. So good drive forward, definitely, but also in the dynamic, really nice, especially with the adaptive suspension. I was surprised how comfortable this car still is, although we had the 19-inch wheels mounted here today. So this adaptive suspension works very, very well. I would also recommend to go for this one, especially with the sporty model, unless you really want to have it in a very, very stiff way, then the driving, of course. Yeah. So overall, I think that's the best about this vehicle. This compromise, a very good compromise. Compromise always sounds negative, but here it's a really good one. You can drive it very, very sporty. It's a lot of fun to drive it. But at the same time, it has a lot of comfort. So to me, this one would also be the more desirable car if you compare it to an RS3 when you think about everyday driving life experience. So overall, I think, yeah, really, really good rating from us here today. It's just the price that is really, really high. So also one of the most expensive compact vehicles you can go for. So I hope you enjoyed this episode here for today. Thank you so much. Always great to have you on board here. See you next time.